Hello, Aditya. Are you there? Yes, 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 you're audible now.
Okay, then let's get started then, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Rulebook and SCCS webinar for Phase 3. In this webinar, we are going over the changes to how Rulebook is updated, some common mistakes during TR that we have observed team make. The four-wheel drive compulsory rules for 2024 and get an overview of the four-wheel drive. We'll move towards the rulebook section. The format for this webinar is divided into 2 days. Today is day one, and tomorrow will be the second day. The webinar is divided into 4 sessions from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., 45 minutes each session, and 15 minutes for Q&A. My name is Ajinkya Alme. I am a technical evaluation judge with BAJA Tech Team 2024, and I am a research engineer at Automotive Research Association of India. I'll be your host for today. Now, until now, whenever there were any updates to the rulebook, a new PDF would be uploaded with changes highlighted in it. My voice is audible, right? Can someone just confirm?
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So until now, whenever there were any updates to the rule book, a new PDF would be uploaded with the changes highlighted in it. This was sufficient and a rudimentary way to do it, but it required approval from many of the board on the rule book. So it created unnecessary confusion with the updates. So some of you might know that any standard such as SA or AIS is only published once, and any further changes are communicated through amendments. We'll be implementing this standard industry practice in this rulebook for updates as well. So how to use it? There will be an amendments PDF. As you can see, a snippet, a screenshot of this PDF on your screen. On the top, there will be an amendment identification and release date. Below it will be two referring to a certain document, the base document identification, and the release date that is being modified on. Then you will see the page number and article number, which is being modified. You will also see the nature of modification. So it might be new points will be added to the bullet list, or maybe a paragraph is being replaced with a new updated paragraph. And at the bottom, you will see the modified content itself that is being referred to in that section. Now we'll move on to the overview of the TI process. As you can see, there are total 4 events from this year, 2024, namely MBAHA, HBAHA, ABAHA, and EBAHA. So for the TI process, the start of the TI process is from the engine check or the kit check. Once you have you have done all the paperwork of your team and officially entered phase 3, you will go through the engine check for MBAHA, CNG kit check and engine check for HBAHA, the autonomous kit check for ABAHA, and the E-kit check for EBAHA. This is variable as per the category. And then once you get the engine check sticker, you can then move on to the next phase of the TI, in which you will lineup for the bills and documentation section, where you will have to produce the original documents of your OEM equipments and such. Then you will go over to the roll cage, where you will have to provide well samples, the welding and those kinds of things will be checked over the roll cage. We will check the restraints check and if all the safety equipment is there or not, if it's properly certified, if everything is well within the rules and conformities. Once that is done, we'll move on towards the system check, subsystem check, in which four-wheel drive will also be checked. So we suggest you bring your own car stands so that the vehicle can be propped up and properly checked for the four-wheel drive. Next, there will be half a sticker of the TI section, TI check that you will receive. And once you have received this TI half TI check, you will move on towards the panic brake test for your remaining of a complete TI check sticker, in which you will perform the brake test. In the brake test, you will require to accelerate to a velocity of 40 km/h speed within 200 feet of distance and stop within 8 meters. And all of the wheels of the vehicle should be locked. After looking at the TI attempt, we have found that experienced teams are more likely to attempt TI on the Day-1, and this is applicable for both MBAJA and EBAJA. And also we have seen that many of the more experienced teams are able to initiate the brake test on the Day-1 rather than the newer teams. This is because you get two TI checks attempts, and a strategy that we would suggest you to follow is that as you get two attempts, first off, you should get everything prepared before the TI. So your brake bleeding, etc., can be done on day 0 when you arrive. Then, once you have sufficiently prepared your vehicle properly, and once you think that there are no glaring issues in your vehicle, then get in line for the TI attempt 1, clear out max points, and then report back and preferably get all of the things that you have messed up, all the things that you have not cleared, fix them, rectify them, and then on the first day itself, you can go for the second TI check, and in that second attempt, you can clear the remaining points. Because the points are carried over from the first TI to the second TI attempt, you can get your TI clear and as well as evaluated properly in the first attempt as quickly. Now, we have also observed an expected trend where more number of teams are able to clear TR and brake test, and even that it is experience-wise and lack thereof of common mistakes that teams have made, that is holding teams back. So this webinar is there to bridge the gap between the inexperienced teams to get proper understanding of what the TI experience is like. Now, moving on towards some mistakes that we have observed that teams make is that the fire extinguisher part is being neglected. Teams should have a minimum of UL rating of 5 BC, should have a proper pressure filled till the green dial pressure. For quick release for the extinguisher, more than 2.5 inches of radial clearance is expected from the teams. And the mounting bracket should be Drake FireX MNT according to the rule book. In powertrain guards as well, we have seen that teams have powertrain guards with fouling with the casing of rotary components. Teams have flexible brake rotors that without finger guards and these kind of things. So the powertrain guard should be properly meeting with the rule book expectations. Also, having less than 15 mm of clearance between casing and any nearby roll cage member is not allowed. Many teams we have observed that they do not have a proper splash shield, in which the fuel that might spill over can when poured over the splash shield can still fall over the equipment. So that is not expected. It is a safety hazard. So we want teams to have a proper sealing, groom mat, etc. on the sharp edges. We want the splash shield to be covering properly the entire engine and the exhaust. So it does not, the fuel, whenever it happens, fuel does not get spilled over the engine, the hot components. We have also seen that teams haven't registered sometimes their transponders. The two transponders should be activated before they are in the TI check sheet line. And the two transponders should be mounted 300 mm apart. These are a few things that we have observed that teams are not ready sometimes. It is also the team's responsibility to get an active transponder subscription and charge the transponders adequately so that they last the entire endurance race of 4 hours. Some points relating to the brake lines as well. Some teams do not have proper routing in their brake lines, so they might get pinched or they might get bent to extreme during the jounce and rebound or during the steering lock travel. We also don't want there to be large cutouts in the firewall. No groom not be any sharp edges or any hazardous points or anything like that for the driver as well as the team members and track workers. In the body panels. We have also seen that teams do not have proper lock nuts. And there should be no intrusive objects in between the paddle and the body panels, etc. The restraint, the driver restraint should be the driver restraint should to provide proper thread engagement in the lock nut. Threaded fasteners should have at least 2 threads projecting past the end of the nut. Vehicles and shine parallel to downward angle. Brake lights angled or aimed above a horizontal plane are not permitted. We have also observed that sometimes teams do not have lock nuts at crucial points. Length of rod and bearing or hem joint should not be unsupported and it should be strengthened using. Accumulators are the only type of stored energy device that may be incorporated into the vehicle for now moving towards the SCCS check sheet, what it is and exactly what how it helps you. The SCCS check sheet throughout the BAJA SAEINDIA competition. It can help teams to ensure all of the competition requirements and that their vehicle is safe and legal. Now, how does this help exactly teams? The SCCS can help you in a number of ways, such as it can help you identify any potential problems that your vehicle early on has so that you can fix them prior to the TI inspection. It can also help you stay organized and on track throughout the competition. It can also help you use communication and collaborative skills by being able to properly mitigate the glaring issues in your vehicle. Mentioned in the sheet strictly as per procedure stated in the rulebook. Team captain and faculty advisor should sign a copy of the check sheet once it has done the landscape format, single-sided, not stapled, and filled with legible handwriting and event at the event site. Teams will be allotted some members to connect either virtually or physically in the college workshops, depending on if you have any issues, then you can kindly note that in case of a team depends in person guidance, demands an in-person. The BAJA India Organization Committee has decided to make four-wheel drive / all-wheel drive compulsory from year 2024. Or four-wheel drive option for the year of 2024. Teams can use full-time all-wheel drive / all-wheel drive mechanisms to adapt for the event. It is essentially required for all the teams to drive four-wheel drive / all-wheel drive mode in all the dynamic events and endurance. No bonus points will be rewarded for opting for four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. Is to give you an understanding of what four-wheel drive mechanisms we have, or teams have.
You might having internet issue. I guess the slides are not changing.
Okay, wait.
Should I share my screen? If you
Yeah,
have.
that would be great. Yes, sure.
Ajinkya, you can start from here. I guess this last slide was this one.
Yeah, no problem with that. Okay, so some of the issues that we have seen teams have observed, some issues that teams make is that sometimes there are improper brake lines routing in the wheel section of the vehicle. So it might get pinched or due to the steering wheel, the lock block of the vehicle. Sometimes it might get bent in a way that it does not facilitate proper braking. So that is something to take care of. Other than that, large cutouts in the firewall or not there not being any chromate or sealing. This being some teams are also sent back to rectify that. There should be pedal stoppers and appropriate pedal stopping to lead. Driver should also have driver restraints properly certified, meeting the SFI ratings, and should not be more than 3 years old. The driver restraint, the arm restraint should be such that the arms of the driver are not flailing outside the roll cage envelope as well. Next slide, please.
Ajinkya, the slide is changed.
Yeah. to provide proper thread engagement in the past the end of the nut. The vehicle brake lights shall be oriented to trailing vehicles and shine parallel to the ground or at a slight downward angle. Brake lights angled or aimed above a horizontal plane are not permitted. No lock nuts at crucial points is also something that we don't want teams to be doing. Length rod end bearing should not be unsupported and should be strengthened using check nuts. Accumulators are the only type of stored energy systems. We want teams to have proper PPE kits when the soaping activity is done. ISA India competition. It can help teams to ensure that they are meeting all of the competition requirements and that their vehicle is safe and legal. Find any potential problems with your vehicle early on, and it can help you fix them. Team should check all the points mentioned in this sheet strictly as per procedure and stated in the rulebook. We want team captains and faculty advisor to have a signed copy on the check sheet, and teams need to present this finalized checked SCCS printed in the landscape format filled with legible handwriting at the event site of TI. Next. From the mentor in their college workshop, respective teams will have to coordinate and bear the expenses for the entire process. BAJA competition organizing committee has decided that it is going to be compulsory from 2024 event for MBAJA, and teams can choose for e-BAJA to be either two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. We'll go over these points in this next few panels. Next. There are two types of four-wheel drives that we have seen teams can perform. One is chain drive, one is shaft drive. Next. All-wheel drive and four-wheel drive are two different types of systems that we have been talking about. All-wheel drive system is where all four wheels receive power at all times. This can provide better traction and handling in slippery or off-road conditions. And these type of mechanisms, such as all-wheel drive, is typically used in cars or SUVs. Four-wheel drive, on the other hand, is where
If
power is sent to the
you
rear
are
wheels.
facing network issues, should I take this forward? Because your voice is breaking in between. Yeah, so Ajinkya is facing some network issues. So let me just take this forward. So here, what we are talking is as Baha has made it compulsory for MBAHA, that is four-wheel drive. And as far as we have seen the two types of four-wheel drive, one is chain type and second one is shaft drive. So whenever a team is going to use a chain, then there will be a chain drive, and the other one is a shaft drive. So in that particular shaft drive, you will going to use a propeller shaft to transmit the power from front to rear. So this is the basic two type of four wheel drive which we have seen so far. There might be a different type of drives in particularly shaft drives. So it may be a split type or a single shaft. So it is up to the teams which whatever they want to use, they can use as per their design and as per their requirements. So basically, what is the difference between all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive? So four-wheel drive will be like a system which can be convertible to front wheel or rear wheel drive, and four-wheel drive as well. But whenever we are talking about all-wheel drive, that will be a full-time four-wheel drive only. So this is the basic difference between all-wheel and four-wheel drive. So there is a benefits also if you are opting for four-wheel drive, and there will be some pros and some cons while you are choosing any of the drives. So if we take an example of four-wheel drive, if you are facing a low traction, then you can change your traction to front or rear wheel, whichever requires higher traction. So how we are going to look into the build quality of four-wheel drive? So the drive shaft axis should be steady. So we have seen in past years that whenever the teams are opting for four-wheel drives, the shaft is wobbling. So whenever you are designing your four-wheel drive, just make sure that the shaft remains steady while transmitting the power, and the smooth rotation should be there for all four-wheel drives. So whenever you are going to transmit the power from rear to front, so all your rotation of or four wheels should remain the same. So that depends upon your design, and as per the rule books, you have to use the standard fasteners. And whenever you are applying your brakes, the vehicle should stop. So that is and whenever your four-wheel drive is engaged, if you face any fail-safe operation, like if the propeller shaft or chain drive fails, then the safety of the driver during the vehicle, it must be there. So as per the rule book, we have given the rules for there is a powertrain guards for properly mounting the your drive shaft and propeller shaft. So these are the rules that powertrain guards must be there. So powertrain guards rules are there in the wherever you are coupling your universal joint. So power transfer from drive shaft to front differential must be covered properly. Installation of drive shafts and hoops or chains must be ensured to ensure the safety of the driver. Then we have given the option for a shifting mechanism. The switching mechanism, the teams can opt for any type of cable shift or mechanical type or electronic type. For switchable four-wheel drives, there should be a convenience of switching. So whenever if you have opted for the shifting mechanism, so no interference of the driver knee or elbow. So if you are providing a shifting mechanism in the roll cage, then there should be a no interference of the driver knees or elbows with the switching lever. And power should be cut off whenever you are shifting your two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive, or four-wheel drive to two-wheel drive. If you are running on the two-wheel drive, there will be a penalty, as we have uh, already mentioned that this year we are going with the four-wheel drive compulsory. So if any of the team found to be driving on the two-wheel drive, there will be a penalty, and that will be a deduction of 50% of point for that particular event. So how the four-wheel drive system interference look like? So transaxle unit must be mounted with proper clearance with the surrounding structures like a roll cage and firewall. Cutout or provided for the four-wheel drive must be have proper grommet and sealing, as Ajinkya has already mentioned. Matching and finger guard must be firm and properly mounted. So these are the points that a team should keep in mind while making the design and making their vehicle. So separation of cockpit space from drive shaft, clearance between nearest roll cage member and the shaft should be there, and installation of proper enclosure to enclose the drive shaft or a chain in case of you are using chain drive. How we are going to inspect and evaluate the four-wheel drive? So there will be inspection at the time of technical inspection. So all four wheels should be running while checking on rollers or the jack. At the time of at the start of each and every dynamic event, we are going to inspect the four-wheel drive is running or not, and there will be also four-wheel drive inspection at the time of endurance. So make sure that if you are opting four-wheel drive, then it should be running at all the times. Now let's go to the rule book and detailed explanation about the part B. So basically part B consists of general requirements. In terms of MBAHA, there will be engine requirements. Then what are the rules for roll cage, driver restraints, driver equipment. So this all the topics will be covered in subsequent sessions. So first we'll talk about the general design requirements. So in the rule book, what are the general requirement? So there are specific size limitations. So with maximum width of 162 centimeter, the length is unrestricted and the weight is unrestricted. So the team should consider that cores are designed for vehicles within these dimensions only. Vehicle can accommodate a driver of 190 centimeter and a weight of 113 kg, and also meet the roll cage clearance and have accessible controls. So vehicles as designed by the students, so they must use a good engineering practice and operate safely in rough terrains. So this is like they must have four or more wheels, non-linear airline. It can you may choose four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, or four-wheel drive. But in terms of MBAHA, there will be a four-wheel drive compulsory. What are the requirements for engine? This is particularly for MBAHA. So this year we are going to use a Briggs & Stratton 10 HP OHV Vanguard Model 19. So teams are advised not to purchase a new engine because as a transition phase, as we have introduced two new events, so A Baha and H Baha. So teams can use their older last year's engine as well. So the only engine which can be accepted at the competition, that is Briggs & Stratton model number, which is also already given in the rule book. So these are the ideal configuration of engine. So the complete exhaust system shall be located in such a way that 100 mm perimeter of the vehicle. So these are the rules from the exhaust. So your exhaust should be minimum 100 mm, 100 mm away from the roll cage members. Then the governor setting should be in the whole number, whole position file. It should not exceed the maximum RPM of 3800. It will be checked while you are opting for engine check as well as after completing your endurance. And your ideal speed that is recommended by Briggs & Stratton, that is 1750 plus or minus 100 RPM. Now moving towards uh, next session that is covered by me, myself Bhavdeep Trivedi. I am technical evaluation judge at BAJA SAEINDIA 2024. Currently working as assistant manager at Gujarat Student Startup and Innovation Hub. So what is build quality, right? So this is the point what we are going to discuss in this session. What is build quality? Then there is a Gravin's 8 dimensional dimensions of quality. You can make sure by analyzing these 8 dimensions. What are the aggregates and roll cage and ergonomics? So in particular this session we are going to discuss about the four topics. So according to you, which car is having a better quality? Now, first, let's just understand about the build quality. So, build quality is a combination of functional as well as aesthetic aspects. So, functional components will be of performance and reliability, and aesthetics will be appeal in the product. Both are equally important for having a good build quality. So, the performance and durability of a vehicle depends upon build quality. And best of design, if you have designed very good, but they might be fail prematurely if the build quality is not proper. Now, what is the Gravin's 8 dimension of quality? So these are the most important points that all the teams can look into. So these are the 8 dimensions which you can have a better build quality if you look into the performance. So the performance characteristic describes the product's essential function. So whenever you are designing, you are setting up your performance. So these are the first step. Then the features are the secondary part. If you are opting some additional features and you are adding some additional features to your buggy, then that is a secondary aspect. Then the reliability of the product or a service to perform expected over a time. So whenever you are designing any component, so the reliability plays an important role in the build quality. Then conformance, how much you are meeting to your specifications. So whenever you have decided to some of the specification, and how after making it actually, how close to the specifications you have got. Then the durability is basically a measurement of the product life cycle. So whenever you are designing any components like a knuckle or a hub, so how much product life cycle is there? So you are going to calculate the factor of safety and other things. Then the serviceability. This is the most important thing. How easy it get repaired, or you can identify the fault of the product and it get fixed. Then comes the aesthetic. So aesthetics is refers to an appearance of the product. So as we have seen two pictures of the car, and you can get a better idea with how aesthetics looks like. Then comes the perceived quality. So perceived quality is the overall opinion of the customer. So this will be in terms of our BAJA India. So this will be a opinion of the judges that evaluating your vehicle. So how they look into the quality that you have uh, mentioned. So these are the aggregates. So on which point you have to be very clear about the build quality. So you can focus on the ergonomics, then you can focus on the roll cage build quality, then the different department designs as well as the aesthetics of your body, suspension design, drivetrain design, and uh, brakes design as well. Now, whenever you are going to design your roll cage, what are the points that you must be keep in mind? So first is ergonomics measurement. So driver ergonomics with the proper clearance by use of 95th percentile mannequin. So this is the one of the standard given by SAE. You can directly go and search about the 95th percentile mannequin, and you can accordingly design your roll cage for better driver ergonomics. Then the CAT design of the roll cage in accordance with the suspension hardpoints as well as the rule book. After making your roll cage design, you can go to the fixtures design, which ensures your proper quality of the roll cage, and accurate jigs and fixture needs to be designed and fabricated. So low tolerance zone for high dimensional accuracy. So there might be a points there where you need higher accuracy. So that can be achieved by designing an accurate jigs and fixtures. Then you have to choose a proper welding process and proper welding parameters for at least heat affected zones. So as you are doing a welding by your own, so you have to be very clear while selecting your welding process. There may be a arc welding or MIG welding or TIG welding, but whenever you are going to select your welding process, you have to be very clear about selecting the parameters. Then after making your roll cage, you can validate your hard points by various validation techniques, such as one of the validation technique, that is CMM, that is coordinate measuring machine. It can be used to verify the location of the hard points. So this will make your roll cage and ergonomics very clear as far as the build quality is concerned. Now let's come to the roll cage part. We'll shortly discuss about the objective structure member requirements, then types of primary member, secondary member, and lateral cross member and other roll cage members. So first, let's discuss about what are the objective. So to maintain a minimum space surrounding the driver, we are designing a roll cage. So we are designing and fabricating to prevent any failure during normal operation, collision, or in case of rollover. So these are the rules that teams needs to be keep in mind, that roll cage use should be newly developed every year. Use of old roll cage is strictly prohibited, and unique signature on the roll cage is required. So signature to be stamped using a 6 number punch, and it should be on the driver's left side. So it contain team ID, year of this participation, and the car number. Now, which type of structure you can use to build your roll cage? That is a space frame or tubular bar you can to be used. Joining can be done by welding or bolting. Separate rules are given in the rule book for if you are opting for bolting. So these are the points that welded joint must not be grounded, sanded, or modified to prevent inspection. And if you are using bands in your roll cage pipes, then it should not have wrinkles, kinks, or any detrimental deformation to the cross section. Now, what are the member requirements? Steel tubes can be used. There may be a straight or bend, but the straight members cannot be longer than 40 inch or 1016 mm. If longer than the mentioned length, then should have an additional support member, and bend should not be less than 30 degree. So these are the points that a team can keep in mind while designing a roll cage. So these are the types of primary and secondary members. So namely rear roll hook overhead, FBM, and ALC, CLC, DLC. These are the points. These are the members are primary, like SIM for four-arm bracing, underseat member. There are the secondary members of the roll cage. So this is the important points to be noted while fabricating or designing your roll cage. The ends of ALC member should be extended and left open for measurement purpose of the pipe cross section. Right. Any one member in the engine compartment area should be also left open for inspection. Roll cage material to be used as per the rule book guidelines strictly. Third party certificates is required for material inspection. All the roll cage members having band radius greater than 6 inches must not be longer than 28 inches. So uh, if you are bending your roll cage pipes, then the band radius should not more than 6 inches and not longer than 28 inches. So minor angle between two ends of a straight tube must not exceed 30 degree. So for bent and straight primary roll cage members that exceed the maximum allowable length or a bend angle, there there are a requirement of additional support members. So this is the table given in the rule book. So if your bend angle is 0 and your length is greater than 40 inches, then one support member is required. So similarly, the bend angle and length requirements are given here in the table, and accordingly you have to provide a support member. So these are the RRH requirement. So there are four rules for the rear roll hook. So maximum allowed inclination from the vertical is 20 degree towards the rear side. Second, minimum width of RRH at 14 inches above the driver's seat. So from the seat bottom, 14 inches up, there will be a minimum length of 32 inches. So it should be greater than 32 inches. Third one is minimum width of RRH at 27 inches above the driver's seat should be more than 29. So from measuring from the seat bottom above 27 inches, a minimum width of the RRH should be 29 inch or more than 29 inch. And fourth one is number of member used in RRH. It can be a singular or a four section, but the side of two RRH that must be continuous. Then lateral cross member, so cannot be less than 8 inches. This is not applied for ALC. because ALC has a separate rule of minimum length requirement, that is 18 inch. Other than ALC, teams can use smaller LCs, but it should not less than 8 inches. Then the lateral diagonal bracing, this is a diagonal bracing for rear roll hook, and this bracing must be from one or two members. If more than one member is used, then it should meet at the same point. So particularly the rules are given in the rule book that it should not have greater than 20 degree of angle, and minimum distance from the B and A point, that should be less than or equal to 5 inches. So if RHO and FBM are not comprised jointly by one tube, then a gusset is required. So what are the requirements for the gusset? So the total weld length must be 2 times of tubing circumferences, and if tube is used, then it must be a primary tube. And if plate is used, then the thickness of the material meets the or exceed the that of the primary material. So these are the template, roll cage template, which is going to be inspected while the technical inspection. So the teams can opt for you can use the same template while you are making your roll cage at the college, and you can verify before coming to the technical inspection. So these are the rules for FBN and fore-aft front-aft bracing. So front-aft bracing member should be continuous to joining RHO, SIM and LFS. So here we have given two images of the same FBM, which one is having a vertical support. So maximum angle between FBM and vertical should be 45 degree if there is no front FAB, and distance from FBM RHO band should not exceed 5 inches. So a vertical support from SIM to LFS is required when the distance is greater than 5 inches. So for a nose design, there is a driver's foot must be entirely behind the plane defined by G, L and ER points. For the rear bracing, triangulated with the straight or bent member, connection at RRH top point should be within 5 inches distance. So maximum length between the attachment point if triangulated with straight member is 40 inches or less, right? So if you are opting in case of bend member, the length requirement is 32 inches or less. So minimum angle of triangulation should be 20 degree. So these are the two images which defines the rear bracing members. Now, if you are opting for a butt joint, then roll cage members which are made of multiple tubes joined by welding must be reinforced by welding with a welding sleeve. The sleeve must be inside and not outside. The sleeve must be extending twice the diameter of both the sides. And whenever you are doing your welding process, there will be a welding test samples, two types of welding test samples that needs to be carried with the teams, and they have the following details on their weld test samples: college name, welder name, date of construction of weld sample. Participation in dynamic and endurance event will be restricted for teams without the weld sample. So it must the weld samples are must for every team, and they should carry at the time of technical inspection. Now, what are the roll cage materials? The materials used for primary and bracing must meet the requirements of following: circular tube having outside diameter of 1 inches and wall thickness of 3 mm, and carbon content of at least 0.18 percentage. That is the minimum requirement. Steel shape with bending stiffness and bending strength exceeding that of the circular tube, having with an outside diameter of 1 inch and wall thickness of 3 mm are also it can be used. The wall thickness must be at least 1.57 mm for other tubes, and the carbon content must be at least 0.18%. The bending stiffness and the bending strength must be calculated about the neutral axis that given the maximum value. So how to calculate that bending stiffness? It is also given in the rule book. What are the document and equivalency must be included? So type of calculation to be presented at technical inspection, which proves sufficient bending stiffness and bending strength. All calculation must be in SI units to three different figures, significant figures, to the nominal tube size as specified by the invoices. Team shall show the figure of 1018 steel and substitute the material. So teams can compare their material with the 1018 steel. Invoices of the roll kit that are required at the time of technical inspection. Material test certifications specify the carbon content and the yield strength of the material. So it should be minimum at least 0.18 percentage. So teams are strictly prohibited to use their old test reports. Now, what are the lateral space and driver ergonomics? So minimum clearance between the driver's chest and torso and steering wheel should be 8.767 inches, that is 220 minimum, and maximum height between the driver knee top and SIM top is 3 inches. So driver's body parts like shoulder, torso, hips, thighs, knees, arms, elbows, there should have a minimum 3 inches of clearance from the car structure envelope. The driver's helmet must have a 6-inch clearance from any 2 point from the top of the roll cage. So it should have 6 inch of clearance from the top. In elevation view, no part of the driver body, shoes and clothing may extend beyond the envelope of the roll cage. The entire vehicle, including the roll cage, shall have no exposed sharp edges which might injure the driver, track workers, or people working around the vehicle. So I hope my screen is now visible clearly. I got a call for that. So we were talking about the gusset and RHO at last when the slide was freezed. So the roll case template is also given in the rule book, and at the time of technical inspection, the template will be checked. So a team are advised to make a wooden template at the time whenever you are making and fabricating your roll cage at the college. So you can cross verify before coming to the technical inspection. Now, what are the requirement for FBM and front bracing? So front bracing member should be continuous tube joining RHO, SIM and LFS. So here we have given two examples, which is already taken from the rule book. And maximum angle between FBM up and vertical should be 45 degree if you have not used front half bracing, that is FFB. Distance from FBM RHO bend should not exceed 5 inches. So that is also given in the rule book in the second image, so that it should be less than 5 inches. And in case of the nose design, the driver's foot must be entirely behind the plane defined by G, L, E and L points. For rear bracing, there will be a triangulated with straight or bent member. So it may be a bent member or it may be a straight members. And maximum length between attachment points, if triangulated with straight member, is 40 inches or less. So in case you are using a bent member, then it should be 32 inches or less. Minimum angle of triangulation should be 20 degree. So these are the requirement for the rear bracings. Now, if you are using butt joints, then roll cage members which are made of multiple tubes joined by a welding, then it must be reinforced with a welding sleeve. This sleeve must be inside of the tube, not on the outside, and it must extend the twice of the diameter on both the sides. Welding process check. So there will be two welding sample as shown in the above figure given. And teams should have the following details in the samples. That one is the college name, welder's name, date of construction of weld sample. So while participating in dynamic and endurance event, uh, if the weld samples are not there at the time of technical inspection, the teams are restricted to participate in the particular event. Now these are the roll cage material requirements. So circular steel tube having outside diameter of 25 mm, that is 1 inch, and wall thickness of 3 mm, and carbon content of at least 0.18%. So this is the minimum requirement of the material that can be used for making your roll cage. Or a steel shape with bending stiffness and bending strength exceeding that of the circular steel tube having the outside diameter of 1 inch and wall thickness of 3 mm, and the wall thickness of that particular steel must be 1.7 mm, and the carbon content must be at least 0.18% regardless of material or section size. The bending stiffness and bending strength must be calculated, and how to calculate that bending stiffness and strength, that is already given in the rule. What are the types of documentation required? So type of calculations to be presented at technical inspection which proves the sufficient bending stiffness and bending strength. So it must be higher than the strength of 1018 steel. All the calculations must be made in SI units to three significant figures to the nominal tube size as specified by the invoice. And invoices of the roll cage material that have to be present at the time of technical inspection. Material test certifications specifically that specify the carbon content and yield strength of the material that is required. And teams are not allowed to use the old report of the roll cage materials. Now the lateral space and driver ergonomics. So there are a specified rule for the driver ergonomics, that minimum clearance between the driver's chest, torso and steering wheel should be 220 mm. Then maximum height between the driver knee, top and SIM top is 3 inches. So it is already mentioned in the figure that it should be greater than or equal to 3 inches. Driver's body parts like a shoulder, torso, hips should have minimum 3 inches of clearance from the car structure, right? And the driver's helmet should have minimum distance of 6 inches from the top. In elevation view, no parts of the driver's body, shoes, and clothing may extend beyond the envelope of the roll cage. The entire vehicle, including roll cage, shall have no exposed sharp edges. So there should not any sharp edges which might injure the driver, track workers, and or people working around the vehicle while the vehicle is in edit. So these are the driver ergonomics and the lateral space requirements according to the rule book, rule number B 3.3. Next will be presented by Mr. Amok. So just yes, Amok, are you sharing the screen? So we have completed our two sessions, and other two will be covered tomorrow. So till now, if any teams have queries regarding any particular points in the rule book, you can paste it in the chat box. We will happy to answer. If any teams have any doubts in particular point, that can they can write in the chat box. So Om has asked about what happens if due to failure of component in four-wheel drive we have to shift to two-wheel drive. So in that case you can come to the technical inspection and get it verified by the technical evaluation judge. Do stopper have to be installed? Yes. So the stoppers that needs to be installed for acceleration pedal, both for So for an autonomous, there is no any mandatory things. You can opt for two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. What about the points? So that depends upon the organizing committee about the points. You can have a discussion on, like, if it is genuine, then you can have a discussion with organizing committee. So about rotating component and stationary member, there is a rule given in the rule book. You can look into that. Rotating guards. So self certification check sheet, that is, in short, you have to check the design of your vehicle before coming to the event, like whether it is according to the rules, it is following all the rules or not. So if you machine and reduce the size of lock nut, it will not act as a lock nut. So you have to ensure the fasteners rule. teams cannot use different type of transmission system. Shakti, you have asked that can we use two different type of transmission system? How can you use two type of transmission? If you are using chain drive, then it should meet the powertrain guards rule. So, Chirag, the SCCS sheet you have to bring along with you at the time of technical inspection also. Yeah, team have to submit the SCCS.